How I will study Japanese if I had just 2 hours? But who am I to tell you this? Well, I'm Ivan, soy un nativo del español with 20 months in Japanese, 46 months in English, and as an athlete, I help fucked up language learners who can't study for more than 5 hours on a daily basis. You have 2 hours, but you don't know what to do. Maybe you don't even have the discipline to study those 2 hours without distracting yourself. Well, in this video, I'll explain to you how those 2 hours can be the 4 hours of a brain-dead TikTok watcher scrolling person. So first, you need to know the most important aspects of language so you know what you need to prioritize in order to actually get the maximum amount of progress in those 2 hours. So that's listening, then after listening, speaking, then after speaking comes reading, and then after reading comes writing. So of course, this is kind of subjective, it will depend on you, but like at least for me, I want to be able to listen to someone because if I'm not able to listen to someone, of course, I'm not going to be able to speak. And if I'm not able to speak, I'm not going to be able to have a conversation. So for me, I don't really care that much about reading, although I actually read a lot right now. And writing is not really that useful in the modern Japanese society. And so yeah, you don't really have to care much about it. But of course, you need to know the most important aspects of the language for you. Don't let my thoughts get to you, okay? Having said this, now you have 2 hours, what do you do? So we're going to focus on having the maximum amount of vocabulary we can in these 2 first months. Why? Because the more vocabulary you have, the more comprehension you have at first. And if you can reach that 90% of comprehension in the less amount of time possible, everything will be just so much more easy. Maybe you want to learn some grammar along the way, but this is not really that necessary. You can even like learn grammar through pure immersion. The most important thing here is just the vocabulary. So you don't really have to care that much about grammar. So how are we going to see vocabulary in a specific? We're going to memorize, right? Memorizing at first, yeah, it's kind of a pain, but in the first stages of learning a language, we are bullshit at it, and so we have to just go through this. And so you're going to download the 2 texts in the description that I put for you. One is for grammar. If you don't want to do the grammar one, it's totally fine. You do only the vocabulary one. And then there's something that happens here, which is that people spend too much time in Anki in their cards, right? If you don't know what Anki is, you don't really worry about it. You can search a tutorial in YouTube. Like there's 1,000 of tutorials on how to set up Anki and how to use it efficiently. And so just look for that. So if you spend more than 30 minutes to 40 minutes on Anki, having used 2 hours, you're basically wasting your time. And so we don't want to spend more than 20 to 30 minutes when it comes to Anki. Have that clear in your mind. After you do Anki, you want to basically kind of use the vocabulary that you have studied. How do you do that? Well, you have to just go and immerse, literally. So how do you precisely immerse? Because this is something that people don't really tell you. Well, you have to literally just go to YouTube or go to an anime. Now you click the anime, now you click the video, and after clicking the video, you literally just start watching it. You put subtitles on Japanese, and yeah, you're immersing right now. And of course, you're not really going to have that much comprehension, but that's totally normal. So there's people that recommend not doing immersion really early, but in reality, I think that doesn't really work. If you can do at least 20 minutes to 30 minutes of immersion after you do your Anki, you will memorize vocabulary just way quicker. That is just how it works. Because there's something that happens with Anki, which is that when you try to memorize the vocabulary, it will not get into your brain, and that's the primary problem. If you really try to get that vocabulary in your brain, it will just not work. And whenever you go and do immersion, you will not even be able to notice that word if you just do Anki, right? You have to also do immersion in order for you to actually acquire those words, right? Because you not only want to memorize the word, you want to also acquire the word, which is another totally different term. Okay, usually if you want to speak in a good way, you want to have a good listening. But prioritizing listening doesn't really look how you think it looks. So the problem with this is that there's people in the Japanese community that tell you that you shouldn't use subtitles because it will worsen your listening. And this is not like that. Let me tell you clearly, you can use subtitles and not worsen your listening. I have probably better listening than the average person when it comes to learning Japanese, and I have used literally 20 months learning Japanese. 4 of those 20 months were wasted. And so, yeah, I probably have like 16 months of actually pure immersion. So listen to what I will say, subtitles will not worsen your listening. So why people think that subtitles do worsen their listening? That's just because of one reason, which is that the reading does suck. So if your reading sucks a lot, what basically will happen is that you will pay too much attention to the reading, and then of course you will not pay any attention to the fucking listening. It makes sense, right? That's why people think that using subtitles will worsen your listening. But if you're starting in Japanese, this doesn't matter. Why? Because you're reading, you're speaking, you're writing, you're listening, whatever thing that you have in the language sucks. And so you basically have to improve at everything at the same time. Now, am I saying that you should first improve your reading so then you go and watch anime with subtitles so you don't really worsen your listening? No, I'm actually not saying that. That's actually not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you use subtitles, you will not worsen your listening. That's what I'm saying. Should you start outputting early? This is one question that people have a lot. And I will say, actually, yes, not that early, but yeah, you should start outputting kind of early. I say this because when you output, you have 100% of comprehension on the words that you're saying. So this will even improve your input. So how will you actually output? That's actually kind of simple. You are not going to output in the traditional way in which you are talking to people, you're trying to talk in camera or something like that. No, actually the way in which I'm outputting right now, because I don't want to talk with people and just not be able to maintain a conversation, for me that just seems just super stupid. Like, if you're not even able to maintain a conversation, don't waste other people's time, because they are not going to basically help you to output. That is just how it works, unless you pay a lesson, which that is another option. You can pay a lesson and just talk with other people. But for me, if you even have to take pauses to talk with the other person, it is just way better that you do something like journaling. So in journaling, basically, you will use all of the vocabulary that is useful for you, and you will learn the vocabulary that is useful for you. So this is probably the best way of outputting when it comes to starting. Also, on top of journaling, you can do something which is making essays on the same language. And this will make you learn vocabulary from a specific area that you care about. So what I specifically do is that right now I'm outputting for an hour on my journaling, right? I've been doing it for like more or less 30 days, 35 days, and honestly, the results are being good.
Thank you よね。まあこれ自慢するほどのスピッチじゃないけど、でもね、ショックなんで仕方ないし、このポイントは大事なんで覚えておいてください。
So if you study 2 hours daily, at what month more or less you want to do this? So I will say probably at the 6th, maybe 7th month. Now, if you want to get really fast progress, is 2 hours enough? This is a question that a lot of people have, and I will say, no, it's not enough. But can you get to conversational fluency within a year or a year and a half by studying 2 hours? Yes, I think that you can get to conversational fluency pretty easily, honestly. So don't really care about what people say and just fucking grind those 2 hours. Do everything that I say on this video, and I promise you that you will be able to get to conversational fluency within 1 year or 1 year and a half. And if you want to get even more faster progress, check the first link in the description. Engage with this content if you want more people to know about this. Thank you.